Oh, it's time to grab your glasses, family. It's time for us to get started. I'm so excited. Sitting up here, Kid Magic, Kid Magic Rock. Shots out. Here we go. Drink your water. Come on, drink your water, but first, take your breath and drink some water. Take your breath. Take your breath and drink some water. Take your breath. Take your breath and drink some water. Take your breath. Drink. Or should I say, breathe. Then drink.
All right, fam. All right, let's get it, man. Oh, man. I am hyped, man. Listen. So, one of the haikus covered a situation that I ran into yesterday. So, of course, I set my timeline. I'm listening to my books. I'm listening to my videos. Well, actually, I listened to my book in a couple of days. A real good book I got this time. It's called... Matter of fact, I'm about to go back and review some stuff, but I got a new book that I am experiencing, and let me find it so I can give you the title, A People History of the United States. Pretty good so far, right? You know, it's exposing the bullshit, right? And I love it, right? You know what I'm saying? I love when it's exposed. But I haven't listened to that book in a couple of days, so I'm going through my playlists, right? Look and see what YouTube is suggesting to me. And the pickings are getting kind of slim nowadays, right? And you can see the algorithm trying to pull you in a certain way. So I get a video that come across my thread, and I've seen a few of these, and I see little TikToks with them where they walk around with a note and they ask young people to read it, right? Especially love doing it with the black kids, with our children. And they go up and they ask the children to read the paragraph, and a lot of them struggle with the reading, right? And then the ones that are able to read, they ask them to say it in your own words, right? And tell us what it means. And I look at shit like that, and I really get upset, because I do understand that the children should be able to read, right? But is that something? Because are you doing it out of genuine concern, or are you doing it to get views? And how many children did you go to in order to pull the group of kids that you show us that can't read? So because you can structure videos, you can structure these media things, this information, you can structure it to get the message across that you want to get, right? So last week I told you, beware of the rhetoric, because the rhetoric is going back to, it's too many people on the planet. Too many resources being used, right? We've been through this phase. I've been through this phase of my life. The world is overpopulated, right? Now the next piece is, we're paying too much money. We're dropping billions into education, and the children aren't reading. And you could structure these narratives. They're nothing but stories, right? Because once again, ask the question, how many kids were actually asked to read and break it down? But then, this is what caught my attention about this particular one. They used a word called gosh, right? So they had the young person read this paragraph, and this one they used several times, and it actually was a sentence, right? Maybe two sentences, and one of the words that was in the writing was gosh, right? You could use contextual, you could use context clues to figure out what gosh means. I think that's the proper term, right? Because I had never really heard that word until I heard the kids reading it. But once I was able to hear the whole sentence read, I was able to, through my basic skills, understand the idea of gosh, right? And even though I could understand, I don't know if I would have been able with a camera in my face to be able to break it down. See, because when these kids, when you go up in their face, right, in most cases, they know, especially if you have a mic and you have professional equipment, they know that you are going to air this. So automatically there's pressure on them. Now, how many of these kids crack under pressure? Once again, we got to start asking the basic questions. And then on top of that, this is the other issue that I have to wrestle with. What if the learning mechanism for human beings is changing? What do you mean, Brother Tim? Because at one point in time, everything was memorized and passed down through stories. And in our culture, that went on for a very long time. In fact, we had individuals that they were called griots, but according to my big brother, Greg Carr, they were called jollies in some traditions, but I'm quite sure they had different names in different places of individuals whose primary role was to be the library, the walking, living, breathing library for the community. So if you wanted some information, this individual will be able to give it to you, right? What if, rather than us looking at the possibility, because we can't look at the possibility that our children are getting dumber, but that's the easy thing. That's the stance that's easy to take, that is definitely in support of this system. What if learning is changing? And because of the tools that are presented to our children, the processes in which they naturally go through are different, right? Because I'm like this. Because just like we went from memorization to reading, and the old folks in those times were like, oh, that's lazy, writing stuff. You should be able to remember all that, right? And now we're totally dependent on written information, right? And we done writ it all down, and now we got it all up in the cloud. What if the human being is making another jump from one way of holding on to knowledge and dealing with information to another way, very similar from us switching from the verbal system to a system based in writing? What if there's some change going on because of the information that we are exposing our young people to at very early ages, and it's really, really affecting us, right? And I'm saying, okay, boom, 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 because it's like we look at one side of these stories and we lean into them. Our children are getting dumber. Our children are no dumber than we were when we were the age. You see what I'm saying? Because really when it comes down to it, many of them are not being drilled on basics, period. And you know why they're not being drilled on basics? Huh? You know why? Because we want to count and measure everything that they do. Oh, No Child Left Behind. Oh, I'm sorry. So our children are where they are because we have allowed them in many ways, rather than punch it down, let's punch at each other as adults, and then let's punch up at systems that we are operating in. Our children are where they are because we have allowed the quote unquote experts to tell us this is what needs to be happening. And then we turn around and we try to test the kids on a consistent basis. Our children are constantly in test mode, and teachers really don't have time to really drill and really don't have time to make sure our children have mastery in certain shit. Come on, fam. The shit is not hard. It's not hard. If we want our children to learn and be like us, then we got to put them through a system where they are taught like us. Generation X know what I'm talking about. How many How many tests do we have to panic about? How many major tests do we have in a year? Right? In most cases, we had finals. We had to prove the skill of what we had to the person that taught us the skill, not to some stranger that would use terms that we never used or that we never really ran into, like gosh. Gosh. What? The fuck? Meadow. The fuck is a meadow? Y'all live in the city. What's a meadow to a child that lives in the city? Right? We are asking our children to do things, one, that we haven't drilled them on, two, that's outside of their experience. Come on now. It's not hard. But anyway, this is Brother Hot Tim, and you are now listening to the Daily Spark, and I want to say great Ujima to each and every last one of you. Yes, family. And I also want to remind you that you are now spending in the week of Imani. You want to give the Imani babies a round of applause as well. Man, oh man, are we learning lessons? And as we go deeper, and also remember to like, subscribe, share, and most importantly, make sure you comment. Family, at the bottom in the description, I have a link to my dot card that you could go to and get all of this stuff. So I'm going to start shrinking down what is being shared with you on the description as well as in my bio, because I can put all that stuff on one thing. You click one link, share your information with me, I share my information with you, and we could be in contact. All right, make sure that you like, subscribe, share, and most importantly, comment. Join our Telegram group so that we can continue discussion. And also remember to rep your rep your day. Rep your day, right? Shouts out once again to the Ujima babies. I know I did that already, but I'm going to do it again. Make sure y'all know that I got love for the Ujima. I got love for all of them. You know, this is a friendly competition type thing. But without any further ado, I need to let you know you are now listening to Giambi Journey Media. My fault. You are now listening to Giambi Journey Media. The Heart of a Simple production. All day, every day. We strive to blow up your old paradigms. I did that. Oh, my fault. You are now standing in the congregation of the mighty, the home of the stubborn minority, the place of your calling. This is Giambi Journey Media. I'm your host, Brother Tim. Of course, you know it's all in production. We strive, and it just finished to blow up your old paradigms. And I was like, dang, that was kind of quick. But anyway, let me share the haikus that I have for you today. So these, when I have 3-day weekends, they really throw me off. But here are the haikus that I put together today. Woke to birds singing over the hum of the city. Hard times and blessed times. My next one. My hunger hit me on Kuji Chaglia, which is my fast day. Now, I need to be very clear about this, right? Because what happens is that during the school year, at the end, let me just put it this way. The rule that I set for this year is if I am going somewhere with a group or an individual, and on my fast day, the individual is hosting me, that means putting out the food for me, I'm eating. I know a lot of y'all get upset about that. Like, oh, listen, I'm just saying, because usually what happens on these days, like where a holiday is on a Moja and I go back to work, what usually happens is that we are taking out to eat. So that we have a meeting, we have a discussion, and then we're taking out to eat, right? So and for the last few years, I've been struggling through. And I said today, at the beginning of this year, if you feed me, I'm eating. Especially you go someplace I like, right? But anyway, I just want to throw that out there. Now, last one. Stop with shame games, showing my children struggle with basic reading, right? Because the point is, I've seen several videos on this where even parents would like shame their children because they didn't know words. They could, like, one was showing a picture of a pigeon, then he would show the word, and the child would say piggy on. Now, if we are being grammatical and sounding things out in the way that a lot of our children learn to do, was that boy wrong? Piggy on. Listen, you know what I'm saying? Was he wrong? Now for us, because, we experience and we're older and boom, boom, boom. But if he's coming from a standpoint where, because I want y'all to think about this. Our children are so isolated from the world. Let me say this. I had problems reading coming up until I ran into comic books. I don't think y'all heard me. I had a problem with words and recognizing words with pictures and putting it together until I ran into something that made me want to read. When I ran into a group of friends and they were sitting around talking about comic book stories and stories about superheroes that wasn't on TV, and in order for me to really engage with them, I had to sit down and really learn to read. Reading was no longer a problem for me. I was lucky enough to stumble on a group of individuals who was reading something that I really enjoyed doing. Right? Now, here is the rub for us. What are we doing in these institutions to find what our children are interested in and then plug them into reading about that interest, demonstrating to them how reading will make that better? But my child only play basketball. Cool. All right. There's no reading about basketball that can make them better, give them a better understanding of the overall game. Is not being able to understand body gestures and body movements, and we got books on that type of shit. Does that not make you a better player? Right? Does, you know what I'm saying? Is there methods to running faster or being more aware of the court that an individual can learn about to make them a better athlete? And you connect them being a better athlete with the aspect that they know all the aspects of the game, not just the physical. See, because now, in one world, I was just complaining about how in the world we in, they make it like this nerd thing. Like I was reading the Sherlock Holmes series, and then I remember the Robert Downey Jr. Version of the Sherlock Holmes, where he thought about everything before he did it. He was in a fight, and I don't know if y'all remember this. He was in a fight, and everything that he did in the fight, you know what I'm saying, he was able to go on and adjust. And then at the end of the video, at the end of the movie, him and Professor Moriarty got into a fight, and it was such a mental battle, right? So we get into these ideas where it's the mental thing, and then on the other hand, we get into it was all physical. The only piece I'm saying is that is all of it. We talk about the 5 parts of being. The best athletes, the best scholars, right? Use all 5 parts of their being in order to be good, to be the best, right? In friendly competition, of course. We got to remember that. All right, so I'm sorry. I'm all off. Put the pistol up, anime. I'm sorry. You know what I'm saying? So If we want our children to read, let's make this shit interesting. Right? For example, problem solving. We never really talk with our children about the community that they live in and the problems that are in it to spark their interest into learning how they solve the problem. No, we tell them, you want to learn so that you can get a job. I have a whole family of people who have jobs that don't appear happy, and I don't want to follow in their footsteps. I want you to think about that shit. How many of y'all actually thought about that when you was younger? You know what I'm saying? I was one of those, I looked at shit that was going on around me. You know what I'm saying? The people that's getting up early to go to work didn't look super thrilled when they got up and didn't have the best attitude about getting up. And I'm like, shit, I don't want to be that. That didn't seem super happy to me. You know what I'm saying? Everybody rushing to get jobs and shit. I'll put that shit off as long as I possibly could, because everybody that had a job didn't seem that happy about that goddamn job. And then one day, and this really blew my mind, we celebrated Christmas, and I'm opening my gifts, and my older cousin looked at me and said, I'm sorry, cuz, I got to go. I got to go to work. I said, work? You work on? What stuff is open up? I'm not doing that shit. No. No. I have been one of those, and I know for some of y'all it's kind of immature. I have been one of those that I have to really enjoy some shit to show up every day. So if I'm showing up in your face every day, know that I am doing it because I like it. Ooh, and I like it. It sends chills up my spine every time I clock in this mother. Ooh, I have always. And when I don't like it no more, guess what? I'm gone. Listen, because family, life is too short. And I knew this when I was young. I'm 58 now. I'm like, shit, life is real short now. Right? I have to start saying shit to people like, yo, I need to make sure you got my code, so if something happens, you can go and get into my shit. I'm not going to be around this motherfucker with you for too much longer. You know what I'm saying? I just want you to know I love you. I need you to know that you're beautiful. Right? I need you to know where this is. I need you to know where that is. I'm starting to understand a little bit now, right? But it is what it is, right? Because we all got that meeting that we all have to make. But let's get into the lesson. I know y'all like, Brother Hatim, we had 22 minutes. Okay. I understand. All right. Here we go. Here's the actual haiku. Shed the heavy noise. Oneness anchors all our faith. True peace sits within. So first of all, I want to say peace to each and every last one of you. Today we are standing in a rare alignment, and all these alignments are rare, but you know that they're coming, right? This is a sacred convergence. We are standing flat-footed, but my fault. This one is, I forgot. We are standing flat-footed on a triple Ujima. We have a Ujima day, we got a Ujima cycle, we got a Ujima year. Wow, that's a beautiful thing. The day, the cycle, and the year are all vibrating on the foundational frequency of blue. Royal to light to royal blue, all right? Or royal blue to light blue, however it goes. The tone of collective work and responsibility. And we are carrying the heavy energy through the sacred week of Amani, the red fire of absolute faith. When the cosmos stacks the blocks like this, it's telling us to pay close attention to porch talk and porch wisdom. It's time to examine how the work we do together deepens the conviction of what we believe. For our people in America, the narrative of survival has often been twisted into a false gospel of rugged individualism. I told you I'm going to beat this dead horse, resurrect it and kill it and beat it some more. We've been told we have lifted ourselves up by our own bootstraps, which is physically impossible, carrying the crushing weight of systematic oppression on singular shoulders. Brothers and sisters alike are walking around exhausted, dragging the heavy chains of blame, shame, and guilt, trying to execute life out of alignment. But the ancestral algorithm for the triple Ujima breaks that spell. Now, it's not just for the triple Ujima, because I want y'all to know, y'all going to hear this again, because I have a 10-week cycle that we're working on with these algorithms. So every 10 weeks, we'll come back to these algorithms. Now, I should have did every 7 weeks, but, I live a difficult life. I live a complicated life. So the algorithm for Ujima today breaks that spell. I delete apathy and install active engagement. I delete apathy and install active engagement. You see, family, the subtractive or via negativa path teaches us that we don't need to add more labor to our already full plates. We don't need to do more. We need to scrape off the buildup of apathetic isolation that separates us. Apathy is the tarnish that builds up when we are overwhelmed by the noise of the world. It makes us look at our brother's struggle and our sister's struggle and their pain and pull back into our shells, thinking, that's not my problem. But under that tarnish lies a fundamental truth. As the proverb of 2 days ago, but we call it the proverb of the day, reminds us, you got to get on that Telegram list. Tell them, Anime. Tell them. Don't pull the pit. I'm sorry, y'all. Anime, put the pistol up. Put it up. Shots fired. All right. The proverb reminds us, gold may tarnish, weight remains constant. Our core identity, our collective power, and our ancestral faith do not change inside the fire. They just get covered up by the debris of individual distraction. How do we use this triple alignment of Ujima to get a deeper understanding of Imani, which we are in the week of Imani? It's simple, family. Faith without an anchor is just a wish floating in the wind. When we drop the unnecessary burdens of false self-reliance and cut the noise of isolation, we actively engage with the collective fabric of the tribe. We realize that making our brothers and sisters' problems our problems to solve together isn't about taking on more stress. It's about sharing the load. When we stand together, the individual weight dissolves, revealing the solid, constant mass of our shared convictions. That is how collective work anchors our ultimate faith. It proves that we are never alone on the open plains. In the book, or the write-up, because I got the Baba, which I haven't finished, the Baba and the Warrior's Handbook for Life Journey, I often talk about how true warriorship is an inner transformation before it ever manifests on the outside. The Player's Pyramid, we learn that working our way up the Nguzo Saba requires us to establish Imani as our foundational base. Today, we aren't building a new foundation. We are simply scraping off the sludge to find the one that was already laid down by our ancestors. Let us release the illusion of solitary grind. Let us drop the weight of apathetic withdrawal and step cleanly into the collective stream. Now, to explore these methods, check out my full collection of works on my author page, right? Now, all that you can get in the description, right? Because it'll lead you to, if you want your Nguzo Saba narrative map, help you find your way, find out your day and your week that you was born in. If you want to become a supporter, want to become a candlelighter, it's all down in there. And all you just go to my dot card, family, you get all my information. You know what I'm saying? And once again, I'm going to stress, join that Telegram group so you get this information early. All right, family. Now, I already went through the proverbs, so I going to start pulling away unless somebody out there say, I want to hear you say and sing the proverb of the day song. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, if that's what y'all want, I'll continue doing it. But I need to hear from you to let me know. Right? So this is Brother Hatim. And you know what? You are. No, forget that. There we go. Yep, that's right. Proverb. Okay. Yep. Proverb of the day. Proverb of the day. Yeah. Here we go. Gold may tarnish. Weight remains constant. Today we pull on that wisdom from Ethiopia, the Amharic traditions of Ethiopia. And I have to ask the question, tell me, what does it mean to you? I like that. And you know what? You are now listening to Giami Journey Radio. This is a Heart of a Symbol production. Where we strive to blow up your old paradigms.